Bobby Carr, I'm the head coach of the Autauga Academy, also athletic director.
All right, Coach Carr, another successful season this year, but I want to talk about, because this season's a little bit different for you. It's your son's senior year. You go into it and know that this might be the last time that you coach him, and you go in after an unusual defeat. You're not used to losing a whole lot of football games, so this year you went in a little bit different, different mentality, different mindset. What's it been like for you this year as the head coach of this football team?
Yeah, the biggest challenge was to avoid the complacency, and that's what happened last year. We had won, I think it was 96 games in a row before we'd lost. I think it was 2010, October 22nd, 2010, up until that championship ball game. And so trying to avoid the complacency, we had beaten Escambia really bad in the regular season. And getting in the state championship game, our kids were shocked, down 18-0. We were down 18-0 before we decided to wake up and start playing the way we played. It was a little too late. So that's been the challenge, all through the summer. And all through the summer we've gone through every 7-on-7 you could imagine, playing against 6A, 7A competition. We went to Auburn, we went to Alabama, we went to Sanford, a number of places, Alabama State, Montgomery. In fact, when we went to Sanford, we brought two teams. I asked Coach Patriot to put our second team with the class 1A to 3A, and asked him to put our first team guys with the class 6A to 7A. Our first team guys won the class 6A, 7A division. So we knew going in we were going to have, this was a special group, we had a lot of talent. But the challenge was to get all our guys on the same page. We've got kids from 9 different towns. And when you get guys from all these different towns, these different schools, and different backgrounds, and different races, and so forth, and having an opportunity to instill the right things in them, to bring them together, I think a lot of companies, a lot of businesses, organizations could learn a lot from this team, because they've learned to put their own selfish wants and needs aside and do what's best for the group. And that's why we're here today, because that's when you also start to experience greatness, when you can put your own selfish wants and needs aside and do what's best for the guy next to you. And again, a lot of that starts with our coaching staff. The chemistry that I think our players see in our coaching staff, that trickles down to them, and you see that same type chemistry with those guys. So it's just been a special year. I want to thank you guys for inviting us up here to play one more time.
Now, you guys have had a lot of success as coaching staff. You talked about the years and years and years without a loss, but one thing that impresses me, Coach, is that you never back down from a challenge. You always want to. A lot of guys that have big winning streaks, it's because they played as less talent as they possibly could to get away with it. But you guys always want to rise up, play the best teams, whether it be at a 7-on-7 and move up classifications, or whether it be drive down to Florida, or whether it be when we talked about the Patriot Bowl, you never asked who you were playing. You were ready to go and play a football game against the best team we could put in there against you. Has that been something that's helped this football team? Is not just play the teams in your classification, but even in the AISA, let's go and play Bessemer, Tuscaloosa, the larger schools that we can go against to try to get the best competition we can.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I don't think we get a whole lot out of beating folks 60, 70, nothing, whatever the score may be. And we want our guys to be challenged, because we compare football to life in a lot of ways. And the thing is, life isn't that easy. You don't just halfway get up, just go through the motions throughout the day, whatever. So we don't just go up, we show up every day, and we work no matter who our opponent is. We're going to bust our tails to make sure our team is the best team they can be, no matter who we played on Friday night. But we did want to challenge this year because we knew we had a lot of talent on this team, and that's why we beefed up our schedule as much as we could.
Now, all these teams and all this success, and talk about some of the coaching staff and how long you've been together, and we know every team takes its own identity. They have their own personalities, their own memories. This team's got to still rank pretty high up there, doesn't it, as far as what it's been like to coach them?
Yeah, talent-wise, depth, without a doubt, is probably the best team we've had ever coached 23 years when you figure in the depth that we have. We've only got 1 or 2 guys that play both sides of the ball and only on certain formations. So that's key in big games. Talk about our coaching staff, man. Obviously being with Coach Bucky for 23 years, he's more than a coach. Obviously, he's my mentor. I mean, I think every person needs someone they can lean on, and That's who he is. We all have people in our life that tell us what we want to hear. We have very few people that tell us what we need to hear, and he's my accountability partner. And even though he's not going to be on the sidelines, I know he's going to be there. You know, hopefully we'll still have our Wednesday night dinners at Outback, which is something pretty special we all do on Wednesday nights. But glad he's part of our staff. One coach that can't be here today, he's actually on the way up. His daughter had a Christmas play she was in this morning. Coach Scott Story. Coach Story was with Coach and I for 15 years at Edgewood, and 3 years we've been here at Autauga. He's been our defensive coordinator, and this will be, if we win tomorrow, it'll be his 200th win as my assistant. So I've been fortunate to have some really good coaches. Coach Tubbs been here 7 years. Coach Parker the last 3 years, and being with him, it seems like he's been with us for a number of years. And this is just half of the group. We've got about 12 of us. And you know, I heard David Shaw say a long time ago, head coach at Stanford, he says, when you're hiring coaches, the number one rule is, the one thing to look for is loyalty. Loyalty and trust over X's and O's. You know, there's a lot of coaches out there that may know a little more football than some of us. But you know what? I'd go to war with these guys because I know they're going to be in my corner. And you know, if you've got every coach thinking the same way, I don't know if you're getting very far. That's why we don't always agree on things, but I think that's important. We've all got, at the end of the day, we're going to be supportive of whatever the plan is. And so I've been very, very fortunate to be a part of a special group of coaches. And like I said, it's just been a blessing. And we're very thankful that you guys invited us up here to play one more game.
Now, I know that there's been a lot of championships won, and you'll look back at some point in your career, and it's probably a long way away, but at some point you'll be able to look back and reflect. But I imagine that the continuity of this coaching staff is going to rank pretty high on the things you're most proud of over the course of your career.
Yeah, they're my brothers, they're my family. Of course, Buck is the granddad of us all, but these guys are special, and you know, and the other thing that I'm thankful for, you know, I talked to our guys after we won the state championship. We've never gotten to practice during Thanksgiving because usually the season's over. And that's usually a bittersweet time for me as a head coach because, you know, Tripp's mom and I are together, so he's usually with his mother on Thanksgiving. I'm usually by myself. And, you know, I make these guys, my staff, and our team, my family. You know, so it's kind of bittersweet, you know, everybody's celebrating in the state championship game. And the next week we're out of school for Thanksgiving. And I'm usually by myself. So this year was, you know, extra special because, you know, I got to spend Thanksgiving with my family, with my team and my coaching staff. So we actually even had a big Thanksgiving lunch. Coach Bucky smoked us about 6 turkeys and had some moms do some fixing. So it's been a special year, and I want to thank you guys for having us up here.
You got one more game, Coach, against Thomas Hayward Academy. You know, I know a lot of people will look over and say, well, you guys, nobody can stay on the field with you guys, but they're a tough football team with a lot of heart, a lot of character, and a lot to prove as well. If you watch them on film, they really have a team that really likes to get on the edges, likes to get, you know, in space and get some speed, but they're a team that plays with a lot of heart as well, and that's going to, I think, make it a very interesting game.
Yeah, I mean, watching the 2 films that we had on, the one word that comes to mind when I think about their team is grit. And knowing the conditions, the weather conditions are going to be the way they are tomorrow, that concerns me big time because there's no doubt about what kind of toughness those kids have about them. I mean, they were down, I think, 14-0 in the state championship and still found a way to come back and win. And those guys believe they can win, and that's the thing about any good team. A lot of good teams we've had. We've had teams that weren't very good in the past, but they didn't know any better. They didn't know any other way but to win, and they always found a way to win. And that's what I see in this team, and that concerns me. However, I feel the same way about our guys. You know, but that was a challenge early on this week. Was, hey, it's going to come down to grit, and I know those guys over there in South Carolina have a lot of grit, a lot of heart, and you can see that on film, and I can tell they're coached up the right way. And we're excited about it.
We've talked a lot. They remind me like an old school Boise State team, maybe a little undersized at certain positions, but they like to get in the right spots. They play hard and love playing with a chip on their shoulder. It's going to be a great game, Coach. Coach, I'll say this, appreciate you taking some time. I know it's lunchtime, so we'll let you go. But I want to ask you now, State champion, a national champion, a national coach of the year, inducted to the Hall of Fame this year, Suns National Player of the Year. I mean, it's had to be a special year for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been very special. But, all that kind of stuff about National Coach of the Year, it's not about me as a head coach. I'm just a head coach, and I'm fortunate to, over the years, especially this year, ride the shoulders of some great players and coattails of some great assistant coaches, and those guys make it easy. And it's not about one individual person, it's about us. And I think it's safe to say that a lot of people in our Tri-County area, and thanks to you guys, a lot of people across the country, know that Autauga Academy is a special place, and I'm thankful to be employed by those guys.
Awesome job, Coach.